Kroger is panicking, Albertsons is bleeding customers, Walmart's grocery margins are under siege, and the company doing the damage doesn't have loyalty cards, doesn't have elaborate store designs, and doesn't even give you a free shopping cart. Aldi is quietly dismantling an entire industry, one Wednesday morning at a time. This is not a slow decline. It is a structural collapse happening in real time. Here are 12 reasons why traditional grocery stores should be terrified. 12. The overhead elimination model that cannot be copied. Every traditional grocery chain in America operates on a business model built around overhead. Elaborate store designs, extensive staffing, loyalty card infrastructure costing hundreds of millions of dollars, marketing partnerships, broad selection requiring complex procurement systems, and constant shelf management. Aldi eliminated every single one of these costs from day one. No cart collectors because customers return their own carts for a quarter deposit. No free bags because customers bring their own. No elaborate store design because the warehouse-style layout costs a fraction to build and maintain. No massive selection because Aldi carries roughly 1,400 products instead of the 30 to 50,000 that conventional supermarkets stock. Every dollar of overhead eliminated becomes a dollar, returned to the customer in the form of a lower shelf price. This is not a marketing gimmick. It is basic retail mathematics applied with ruthless consistency for over 50 years. Conventional grocery chains cannot simply adopt this model because their entire infrastructure, their real estate, their staffing contracts, their loyalty programs, their supplier relationships are built around the overhead structure Aldi never had in the first place. Kroger cannot rip out its loyalty card system without alienating millions of customers who depend on it. Walmart cannot introduce a quarter cart system without a customer revolt from a base condition to expect free service. The structural advantage is permanent. And permanent structural advantages are exactly what destroy industries over time. That advantage alone would be enough to worry every conventional grocery executive in America. But what is coming at number 11 reveals something even more threatening, because it shows that Aldi isn't just cheaper, it has quietly become better. 11. The quality upgrade program that killed the store brand stigma. For decades, the entire grocery industry operated on one comfortable assumption: store brands are inferior. Name brands are superior. That assumption justified billions of dollars in brand premium pricing across every grocery category in America. Aldi spent the last decade systematically dismantling that assumption with evidence, not slogans. Blind taste testing became a standard part of Aldi's product development process. Store brand products were directly compared against name brand competitors, and the results were used to continuously refine formulations until the Aldi version matched or beat the brand it was being measured against. Then Aldi started entering those products into international food quality competitions, openly, publicly, against dedicated premium producers from established food cultures. And it started winning gold medals for chocolate, award recognition for olive oil, independent taste test victories published in food media against brands that have spent decades building reputations on superiority claims that the blind comparisons simply do not support. The consequence for traditional grocery stores is brutal. Their entire pricing model depends on customers believing that paying more buys something better. Once that belief collapses, and it is collapsing in real time across multiple product categories, the premium pricing that conventional grocery chains depend on for margin becomes impossible to justify. If this is already changing how you think about where you shop every week, hit that like button right now. This list only gets more damaging to traditional grocery from here. One tap, do it now. Because what is coming at number 10 reveals the demographic shift that traditional grocery chains never saw coming. And it is the shift that is going to determine who wins this entire industry for the next 20 years. 10. The senior demographic defection that nobody saw coming. The fastest growing demographic in America is the senior population, and seniors are the most loyal, most frequent, and most financially predictable grocery shoppers in the entire retail landscape. They do not chase weekly promotions across 5 different stores. They find the store that consistently serves their needs, and they return to it with a loyalty that conventional grocery chains have spent enormous marketing budgets trying to manufacture artificially. Aldi is winning that loyalty at a rate that traditional grocery executives are only beginning to fully comprehend. Fixed income budgets intersect with elevated nutritional needs in ways that conventional grocery retail has served poorly and expensively for decades. The premium pricing that traditional chains charge on fresh proteins, quality dairy, and health-focused products creates a persistent and painful tension between what seniors should be eating and what their budgets can actually sustain. Aldi resolves that tension more completely than any other grocery format operating at scale in America. The pricing on wild-caught salmon, organic produce, and health-focused staples makes optimal nutrition financially accessible in a way that conventional grocery pricing simply does not. The store format advantages compound the demographic pull. Smaller footprint means less physical demand for a complete shopping trip. Limited selection eliminates the decision fatigue that exhausts shoppers, managing cognitive energy as a genuine daily resource. Fast checkout respects time and energy that other priorities are competing for. Former regional managers at conventional grocery chains have started describing senior customer attrition as one of the most alarming trends in their internal data, because once a senior finds a store that works for them, they almost never leave. That permanence is exactly what makes this demographic shift so dangerous for everyone Aldi is taking customers from. The seniors are leaving. What is coming at number 9 reveals exactly where the next wave of departures is coming from, and it is a demographic that traditional grocery chains assumed was permanently locked in. 9. The middle-class defection that inflation made permanent. For most of Aldi's American history, the chain was associated primarily with budget-conscious shoppers and lower-income households. Middle-class and upper-middle-income families largely ignored it, shopping instead at conventional and premium grocery chains out of habit, brand loyalty, or simple unfamiliarity with what Aldi actually offered. The grocery inflation period beginning in 2022 broke that pattern permanently. As conventional grocery prices rose at rates exceeding general inflation, household budget pressure became acute across income segments that had previously been insulated from food price sensitivity. Middle and upper-middle income households conducted the price comparison that smartphones made effortless, comparing the same basket of goods across Aldi and their conventional grocery chain of choice, and arrived at a conclusion that lower-income shoppers had reached years earlier. The price differential was not marginal. The quality comparison did not justify the premium they had been paying. The first-time Aldi trial numbers from 2022 through 2024 represent the largest customer acquisition wave in the chain's American history, and the retention of those new customers has been extraordinary. The expectation versus experience gap, where shoppers arrive expecting compromise and discover genuine quality instead, converted what should have been a temporary crisis response into a permanent shift in shopping behavior. Traditional grocery chains lost an entire income bracket they assumed was permanently loyal, and they lost it during exactly the period when they were raising prices to protect margins against rising costs. The customers who left during that window are, by every available retention metric, not coming back. That defection alone reshapes an entire industry's customer base. What is coming at number 8 explains exactly how Aldi is converting every single dollar of that customer base into permanent loyalty through a single weekly mechanism that no traditional grocery chain has been able to replicate. 8. The finds section. Nobody else can build. Every Wednesday, Aldi introduces a rotating section of non-grocery items, kitchen appliances, health products, bedding, garden tools, seasonal specialties, and technology, at prices that specialty retailers charge as their standard rate, and that Aldi delivers as a limited-time event. Traditional grocery chains have studied this innovation, attempted to replicate it, and consistently failed to match its effectiveness. Not because the concept itself is complicated, but because executing it requires a supplier relationship with infrastructure and a pricing philosophy that conventional overhead structures simply cannot accommodate. The scarcity built into the finds section is genuine, not manufactured. Aldi does not stock unlimited quantities with artificial urgency messaging layered on top. It stocks what its supplier relationships and warehouse capacity actually support, and when those quantities sell through, the shelf is empty until the next rotation arrives. That genuine scarcity creates a shopping behavior pattern that conventional grocery promotions, with their endless rain checks and rolling restocks, have never been able to replicate. Customers who have learned the Wednesday morning timing window, especially the first Wednesday of each month when the largest rotations transition, are participating in a shopping event with no equivalent anywhere in conventional grocery retail. They arrive early. They know what is coming. They leave with products that other shoppers will spend the following days asking about in confused disappointment, only to learn the window has already closed. This weekly anticipation cycle generates a return visit frequency that no loyalty card program, no matter how generous its reward structure, has ever managed to produce organically. Traditional grocery chains are losing not just price-conscious transactions, but the entire habit formation cycle that determines where a customer's default grocery trip happens every single week. That habit cycle is dangerous enough on its own. What is coming at number 7 reveals something that should make every conventional grocery CFO lose sleep because it proves the price gap is not closing, it is permanent. 7. The price gap. That conventional chains cannot close. Independent price comparison studies conducted across multiple years and multiple product categories have consistently found that Aldi's prices undercut conventional grocery chains by margins that are not marginal. They are structural, and they hold steady across economic cycles in a way that promotional pricing at conventional stores never does. The reason traditional chains cannot close this gap is not a lack of effort. Kroger, Albertsons, and Safeway have all introduced expanded private label programs specifically attempting to compete with Aldi's store brand pricing and quality. These programs have genuinely improved over time, but they cannot close the overhead gap that produces the price differential in the first place, because better store brands sold through a conventional overhead structure are still more expensive than equivalent store brands sold through Aldi's lean operational model. The smartphone era made this gap impossible to hide. Price comparison that once required multiple shopping trips across multiple stores now takes 30 seconds. A customer standing in a conventional grocery aisle can verify in real time whether the price in front of them is competitive. For an increasing number of product categories, the answer produces the same uncomfortable conclusion every time. It is not against Aldi. This transparency has converted what used to be a vague sense among shoppers that Aldi might be cheaper into documented, repeatable, personally verified proof. And proof changes shopping behavior in ways that brand loyalty marketing has never been able to overcome. The gap holds. The transparency has gone permanent. And the next reason on this list shows exactly how Aldi is converting that price advantage into nutritional advantage as well. The combination that no traditional grocery chain can compete against simultaneously. 6. The nutritional advantage. Traditional chains cannot match without losing money. Traditional grocery chains have built their margins on a category structure where premium nutrition costs premium prices. Organic produce sits in a separate section with separate elevated pricing. Wild-caught fish carries a premium over farmed alternatives. Antibiotic-free, hormone-free proteins cost meaningfully more than conventional options. This structure protects margin, but it also means that optimal nutrition has historically been priced as a luxury rather than a default. Aldi inverted that structure entirely. The Never Any protein line, covering chicken and pork raised without antibiotics, without added hormones, and without animal byproducts in feed, delivers the same production standard that Whole Foods charges a significant premium to provide, at a price point that makes it the default protein choice rather than the premium upgrade. Wild-caught salmon at Aldi prices makes the omega-3 intake that cardiologists recommend financially effortless rather than financially aspirational. Organic produce bundles deliver certified organic standards at prices that close the gap between what nutritional science recommends and what household budgets can actually sustain. For traditional grocery chains, matching these prices on premium nutritional categories would require accepting margin compression they cannot absorb without restructuring their entire cost base, the exact overhead structure discussed earlier that they are structurally unable to eliminate. The result is a widening gap not just in price, but in nutritional access. Customers shopping at Aldi are increasingly able to eat better for less, while customers locked into conventional grocery pricing structures face a worsening trade-off between nutritional quality and household budget. Every single year, inflation continues. That nutritional gap compounds every single week it persists. Before we continue to number 5, if this breakdown is changing how you see the grocery industry, subscribe to this channel right now. Every week we bring you the retail intelligence that explains exactly why some stores are winning and others are losing before the rest of the industry catches up to what is actually happening. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what is coming at number 5 reveals the single most dangerous threat traditional grocery chains face, and it has nothing to do with price at all. 5. The customer trust collapse that traditional grocery caused. Itself, traditional grocery chains spent the past several years making decisions that, individually, seemed defensible from a corporate cost management perspective. Collectively, those decisions have produced a trust collapse that is actively pushing customers toward alternatives, with Aldi positioned as the primary beneficiary. Self-checkout expansion across conventional grocery chains has transferred labor costs onto customers while simultaneously increasing transaction friction, longer waits, more errors, more situations requiring staff assistance that defeats the entire purpose of self-checkout in the first place. Customers notice when a cost-saving measure makes their experience worse rather than better. And resentment from that recognition does not stay contained to a single visit. Loyalty card systems that create two-tier pricing structures, where the same product carries a significantly higher price for customers who do not engage with a smartphone app, have generated a specific and growing sense among shoppers that they are being charged a penalty for not participating in a corporate data collection program. That perception, once formed, is extraordinarily difficult to reverse through marketing alone. Documented food safety and labeling issues at several major conventional chains, covered extensively in consumer and local news coverage, have eroded the baseline trust that customers extend to their grocery store by default. Once that baseline trust is damaged, customers begin actively comparison shopping in a way that habitual loyalty had previously prevented them from doing. Aldi, by contrast, charges one price, the shelf price, to every single customer regardless of app engagement, loyalty status, or technological comfort. That structural simplicity, ironically, has become one of its most powerful trust-building mechanisms precisely because traditional grocery chains made trust into something conditional. Trust does not collapse quietly. It collapses publicly, one frustrated customer review at a time. What is coming at number 4 shows exactly where those frustrated customers are going, and the expansion data proves it is not a temporary migration. 4. The expansion strategy. Specifically targeting conventional groceries' weakest markets. Aldi's American Expansion Program is the largest in the chain's history, with a publicly stated commitment to reach roughly 2,500 locations by the end of this decade. The geographic targeting behind that expansion is not random, and it is specifically aggressive in markets where it can do the most competitive damage. The expansion concentrates in suburban and exurban markets with dense senior populations, the demographic discussed earlier whose loyalty, once earned, almost never reverses. It concentrates in regions where fixed-income households represent a larger than average share of the local grocery shopping population, exactly the customers most sensitive to the price and nutrition advantages Aldi delivers. And critically, it concentrates in markets where the conventional grocery competitive landscape has already been weakened by the understaffing, the customer satisfaction deterioration, and the pricing credibility collapse discussed in the previous section. This is not coincidental targeting. It is a deliberate strategy to enter markets at the exact moment when dissatisfied conventional grocery customers are most actively seeking alternatives, positioning Aldi as the most obvious and most immediately available answer to that dissatisfaction. Traditional grocery chains responding to a new Aldi location in their market have historically tried price-matching specific items, running temporary promotions, or emphasizing loyalty program benefits. None of these responses address the structural overhead gap that makes Aldi's everyday pricing sustainable, in a way temporary promotional matching never can be. A 6-week price match campaign cannot compete with a business model engineered from the ground up to deliver low prices permanently. The expansion keeps accelerating into exactly the territory where conventional grocery is most vulnerable. And what is coming at number 3 reveals the financial mechanism explaining why traditional chains cannot simply outspend Aldi to defend that territory. 3. The margin structure that makes fighting back. Financially impossible. Conventional grocery chains operate on notoriously thin net margins, typically in the low single digits, a reality that makes aggressive price matching against Aldi an extraordinarily risky financial maneuver rather than a simple competitive response. When a conventional chain attempts to match Aldi's pricing on a meaningful basket of products, it is not absorbing that cost reduction against a comfortable margin cushion. It is absorbing it against margins already stretched thin by the very overhead structure, the loyalty programs, the staffing levels, the real estate costs, that prevents the chain from operating at Aldi's cost base in the first place. The math simply does not work for sustained price matching across a broad enough category range to genuinely retain price-sensitive customers. This creates a financial trap that traditional grocery executives are acutely aware of but have no clean solution for. Match Aldi's prices broadly, and margins collapse to unsustainable levels that threaten the chain's overall financial viability. Decline to match prices and continue losing the price-sensitive customer segment, which, as established earlier, increasingly includes seniors, middle-income households, and anyone who has done the smartphone price comparison even once. Wall Street analysts covering conventional grocery chains have increasingly flagged this margin vulnerability explicitly in earnings call commentary and analyst notes, with several explicitly naming Aldi's continued American expansion as a structural risk factor rather than a peripheral competitive concern. When financial analysts start treating a competitor's growth as a balance sheet risk rather than a market share footnote, that is the clearest possible signal that the threat has moved from theoretical to existential. The margin trap has no clean exit for traditional grocery. And what is coming at number 2 reveals the supply chain advantage that makes this margin gap even more permanent than most analysts currently realize. 2. The direct sourcing model that cuts out every middleman. Traditional grocery depends on conventional grocery chains operate within a supply chain structure built around distributors, brokers, and the elaborate vendor negotiation systems that have characterized American grocery retail for generations. Each layer in that chain adds cost, and each layer represents a relationship that conventional chains are deeply, structurally embedded within, in ways that are difficult to unwind even when alternative arrangements would be more cost-effective. Aldi's sourcing model bypasses much of this structure entirely, working with manufacturers directly in many product categories, rather than routing through the distributor and broker layers that add cost without adding value at every step along the way. This direct relationship model is the mechanism behind the co-manufacturing reality, where many Aldi store brand products come from the exact same production facilities as premium name brand alternatives sold at conventional stores, just without the markup that distribution layers and brand marketing budgets add on top. Traditional grocery chains attempting to replicate this direct sourcing approach face a specific and difficult obstacle. Their existing vendor relationships built over decades and embedded in long-term supply contracts cannot simply be dissolved without significant financial and operational disruption. Aldi never had those legacy relationships to dissolve in the first place, allowing it to build its sourcing model around efficiency from day one, rather than retrofitting efficiency onto a structure built around something else entirely. The result is a supply chain cost advantage layered on top of every other structural advantage already discussed, compounding the overhead elimination, the pricing transparency, and the margin pressure into a competitive position that traditional grocery chains cannot dismantle through better marketing, improved loyalty programs, or temporary promotional pricing. This sourcing advantage is permanent and compounding. And what is coming at number 1 explains exactly what this means for the future of American grocery retail, and why the disruption happening right now is only the beginning. 1. The trajectory that makes this disruption permanent rather than temporary. Every factor on this list, the overhead elimination, the quality upgrade, the senior demographic shift, the middle-class defection, the fine section habit cycle, the permanent price gap, the nutritional advantage, the trust collapse at conventional chains, the targeted expansion strategy, the margin trap, and the direct sourcing model points toward the same inescapable conclusion. This is not a temporary disruption that will correct itself once inflation cools or once conventional grocery chains adjust their strategies. This is a structural and permanent shift in how American grocery retail operates, and the conventional grocery industry's own internal data increasingly confirms it. Aldi's continued American expansion through the remainder of this decade will reach into more markets, capture more of the senior and middle-class demographic shift already in progress, and continue widening the price and nutritional gap that conventional grocery chains have shown no credible path toward closing. The quality upgrade program will continue producing independent validation that further erodes the brand premium assumption that conventional grocery margins depend on. The fine section will continue generating habitual return visits that no loyalty card redesign has matched. And the fundamental overhead and sourcing advantages will continue compounding because they were built into the business model from its inception, rather than retrofitted as a response to competitive pressure. Conventional grocery chains are not facing a competitor that needs to be matched on price for a few quarters until conditions normalize. They are facing a fundamentally different and more efficient business model that has spent over 50 years proving itself across multiple economic cycles, multiple recessions, and multiple competitive responses, and that has never once needed to compromise the structural advantages that make it work. The traditional grocery industry built its entire business around assumptions that customers would tolerate overhead costs passed on to them as higher prices, that brand premium would always justify itself, that loyalty could be manufactured through programs rather than earned through genuine value. Aldi proved every one of those assumptions wrong, slowly, methodically, and now irreversibly. That is why Aldi is destroying traditional grocery stores, not through a single dramatic move, but through 12 compounding structural advantages that conventional grocery retail has no credible path to neutralizing. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown as eye-opening as the data behind it, let us know in the comments which reason on this list surprised you most. Want to see exactly which Aldi items are worth stockpiling before everyone else catches on? Click the video on the left right now. And if you do not want to miss more retail intelligence and grocery industry breakdowns every single week, hit that subscribe button right now.